Shalom Aleichem and Shavua Tov. So just to recap what we have discussed until now and in our last shiur, we discussed the importance of understanding the interaction between our potential efforts versus time, and how time is not just a movement, but is much more than that. It's an interaction. It's an essence where God or life has certain challenges or good moments that we have to be able to be prepared for. And this is what the potential is really given to us for. The ability to prepare ourselves based on knowledge, based on efforts, based on exercise, on learning, and gain the wisdom that is needed, the knowledge that is needed to deal with every situation that we face. Time. And the vector of time is a vector that we all know we don't have a control over. As we spoke, we said that basically time is not something we can stop, but it's definitely something we can control, we can influence, impact. And those are the situations every one of us face on a day-to-day basis. So here we have, if you want, two reasons or two factors that influence our lives. Factor number one, the one that's in total control, which is basically our free will, our desires, our instincts, the directions that we take, the choices that we make in life. That is one factor of impact that we have. The other one, we don't have control over what comes to us, apparently, but we do have control of how we deal with it. And those are the curveballs, in quote, that life has for us. The situations we don't expect, the situations we have to deal with, the moments we have to face in life. Some moments are nicer and more joyful, others are more complicated, painful. And these two factors need to coexist and need to create what we call our own personal existence, our own personal choices in life, history. This is how the Tov Shem Mishem Tov. This is the Tov Shem, the choice to have a good name, to have a good identity, to leave behind us a strong legacy. It's not just only by the actions that you choose to do, but also by the way you behave when you're in front of situations you don't control or you didn't expect. This being said, this leads us and it is brought in many different facets, in different flavors, whether it's in the Torah, by the Chachamim, or by the philosophers. If we put it in two keywords, is we have the fate that you face versus you controlling your destiny. Your actions is basically what gives you the opportunity to choose and be in control of your destiny. And then the time, those moments that you're not expecting, that you're not in control of, that you didn't choose, we call it the fate, or we call it in Hebrew, the Mazal, destiny. So the question is, how does destiny and being in control can coexist? So here is the time for us to introduce what we really need to understand the concept of Mazal. Is there Mazal or there's no Mazal? Are we bounded to a fate, to a certain destiny, and it's something we cannot control and we cannot break and we cannot change? Or no, it doesn't exist? Or is there a hybrid version where both can coexist together? So people tend to believe that Mazal, destiny, is basically a story of humanity that has been written already and is unfolding as time goes on. And it is what it is, and everything is already written, and everything is already said and engraved, and it's a question of time before you know what's happening. However, I would like to bring to your attention the optic of the Rambam. Maimonides has a very important philosophy and understanding based obviously on the Torah of the definition of Mazal. Says the Rambam that the Mazal, the definition of the Mazal is basically the interaction between the laws of nature and the wiring, the physical wiring of a person. What do I mean by that? So the Yabetz Sephardi, Rabbi Yaakov Amdin, explains in his book Mitat Kesef that the definition of Mazal is basically based on the Rambam, this interaction a person will have with nature. And how is this interaction defined? What it is controlled by? So says the Mitat Kesef, says the Yabetz Sfaradi, that at the time of procreation, at the time of a union, a husband and wife, there is an alignment, a physical alignment, there's an emotional alignment, there's an intellectual alignment, a spiritual alignment. And when that moment of perfect harmony happens, there is a soul, a potential that comes down to the world that will define, based on the harmony of the couple, on those different layers, how balanced and how positive the build-up of that person will be on a physical level. Says the Yabetz, once the body is procreated, the body will have tendencies and will have certain facilities and certain connections that will, with nature, a type of energy, an interaction of energy with nature that will make the person more successful in certain areas and make him more, will make it more difficult and challenging in other areas. And since we live in an environment that is based on rules of nature that are very set and very clear, and everybody agrees to that, right? We have laws of gravity, we have laws of nature that God put in place. We know that the moon has an influence on water. We know that man is made of 72% of water. So by default, the moon will have an influence on humans. And since the moon is under also the influence of what we call the Mazalot, the asters, the constellation of the stars, so that will have an influence of the moon, that will have an influence on humans. So say the Rambam and explains the Yabetz Sephardi, what we define, what we call Mazal, it is the natural interaction, energetical interaction between a person and its surrounding and the nature. And that will create, again, certain facilities, certain positive inclinations, or some flaws, some more difficult type. This is the definition of the Mazal. Says the Rambam, Mazal is not a fate. It's not a destiny that you cannot break or that you have no control over. It's a way of life. It's just an interaction, an energetical interaction that pushes in a certain direction, but doesn't impose upon you any outcome. Just like some people like chicken, others prefer dairy, others fish, right? It's all about taste. It's an inclination. It's a desire. Says the Arizal in Torah Nefesh that when a person chooses to eat chicken versus meat or fish over chicken, he didn't make a choice. It's just his nature. It's his tendency. It's his liking. That's not a choice. Unless you make an intellectual choice not to eat something because it's not healthy for you. If it's just something you like, if it's an inspiration that you have that pushes you to eat something specific, that's not a choice. So the same way, we have those tendencies throughout our life, every day. And that's what it means, Meshane Makom, Meshane Mazal. The Chachamim say if you change place, your Mazal change. It's very simple, because your geolocalization, right, where you are, will bring or will put you in an area with different types of energies. This is also why if you're amongst people that have good energy, you will feel good. If you're among people that have negative energy, you will feel down, you will feel sad, right? The Rasha, if you sit next to a Rasha, you're going to end up becoming a Rasha. If you're next to wicked people, you're going to become wicked. And if you're next to Tzaddikim, you will become a Tzaddik. Like we actually read in last week's Pirkei Avot, Leolam Yadam Al Yadam Rosh Hashuanim El Zanav La'arayot. You're better off being the tail of the lions than the head of the foxes. Very good. All these sayings of Chachamim basically want to come and introduce the peer pressure, the concept of influence of nature over our energetical and physical buildup and tendency. Very good. So when we face situations, when we face moments of challenge, it's basically the outcome of a buildup of energy, that creates a situation, whether that situation is positive or not. Now, one may ask, well, what happens when there is a pandemic like we're facing today? So there's many answers to that. My answer is, if you ask me, and that's a personal outlook, when humanity becomes so wicked, when we lose total track of what true morality means, what it really means to be caring for people, to connect with people, then nature reacts and say, well, if you cannot be together, then let me separate you guys so that you can actually realize and understand what it is to be together. Is that God? The answer is absolutely yes, because all this interaction and this interactive dynamic is based on the laws that God put into place in nature, and that is triggered and influenced by our actions. So if we have to blame anyone for what we're going through, well, we're to blame, nobody else. Each and every individual should blame himself, not the neighbor, himself, for being part of a global impact of negativity on creation. And it's fair to take the blame, and it's good to take the blame, because if you don't take the blame, there's no way you're going to change and better yourself. So the question is, how do you change? And that brings us back to the shiur of last week. The shiur of last week basically tells us that we have the ability to change and do a reverse engineering of the energy that we're facing, of the situation we're facing. We can actually break that negativity and turn it into something that's amazingly positive. And if we don't see the positivity right away, and we inject it, we infuse, we bond it with the situation and made the best out of it, well, one day we will see how good and how positive our efforts were and how fruitful they were. Not everything is an immediate reward. We can't expect everything, something to be coming back at us right away. The same way when you go and you plant a tree, or you invest efforts in a business, or you do something, you try to have a child. The baby is not born right away. It takes time until B'ezrat Hashem, the wife becomes pregnant, and it takes 9 months for the baby to come. So the efforts that we do, some will have an immediate impact, and most of our actions are a long-term effort that will yield outcome and benefits for ourselves, and if not for ourselves, for our families, our beloved ones, and the generations to come. So the impact, as we mentioned, is based on two fundamental understanding. Understanding number one is what the message is made of. When I'm facing a situation, what is that representing? Okay? If it's a destiny, then there's nothing you can change. And if there's nothing you can change, then what's the point of doing anything anyways? There's nothing you're going to change. But if you understand that it has nothing to do with that, it's an opportunity to better yourself, an opportunity to learn. If it's a good moment, an opportunity to uplift yourself. Every situation is an opportunity. And what did we say? We have to prepare ourselves. Zman, the word zman, time, it comes from the word hazmana, to prepare yourself. Right? It's a preparation. Life is all about the preparing. What are we preparing ourselves? We're preparing the perfection of creation. Everyone is pushing forward a bit every day the perfection of creation, of humankind. So when I try to work on myself, I need to realize and be always conscious of two things. That I'm facing a situation, and that situation can or take over my life. And like we said in last shiur, I am now the victim of time. And if we rephrase now the situation based on what we just learned, I am the victim of my own actions. Well, we cannot blame anybody, right? And a lot of people live that life. A lot of people don't want to fight, don't want to take responsibility, are scared to open the door and go out and look at what's out there because they think that the unknown is scary, where maybe if you open the door, you're going to see how beautiful the outside world is. So some people will let the snowball effect of energy just take over their life. And one day they wake up and they don't know where they are. They don't understand how they got to the place they got. Some, if they're lucky, have the strength and the time and the willpower to come back to harmony and equilibrium and find their path. And others, they just disappear. That's one direction. The other direction is to say, well, I understand that I triggered this situation based on my actions. When and what action would be great to know. This is why Chachamim tell us that a person before going to sleep should do what we call cheshbon hanefesh. Make at night a summary of the day. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? the Chachamim and the Hasidim write notes. Today I didn't do this right, or I spoke to that person not well, or I reacted too fast on this guy. People make an accounting of their behavior so that if they face a certain situation, they can track back what action could have led to such a situation in order to be able to fix it. So the advice of the rabbis of taking an accounting of your behavior, obviously not every second, although big rabbis used to do that, but that's not what we're talking about. Just measure events of your day will help you understand what to expect in terms of the time, the moments that you're about to face. To the point, where the Zohar tells us that on Shabbat, we receive the download of the entire week. And our behavior on Shabbat will determine how our week will unravel, will unfold. So this is another clear-cut proof from the Zohar Kadosh that a person controls even the moments to come. How? By his behavior. Happens to be that the capsule of time of the week is shrinked and focused on 25 hours that is called Shabbat Kodesh. So on Shabbat Kodesh, your behavior, if you're happy on Shabbat, if you're interacting on Shabbat, if you're learning on Shabbat, if you're appreciating everybody, if you're sharing, you'll love it. So you're going to have a beautiful week. If you're angry, if you're sad, if you are depressed, if you are confused, if you are lazy, then that's how the Mazal of the week, right? The fate of the week will unravel. Beautiful. So another source, the Zohar Kadosh, comes and tells, and if you want to check, it's Parashat Yitro, page 88. The Torah comes and tells us that we are in control of our time. So now, when we face a situation, what are we really facing? We're facing the reflection of our actions in the past. So we need to know that this dynamic, that energy that we're facing that might seem painful, confusing, delightful, whatever it is the fruit of our own efforts, of our own actions. So now I can decide proactively to learn from the situation, which basically will make me reflect on my actions in the past, fix them, because I now learn what the outcome. It's painful, it was wrong, whatever it is. I better myself. I learn from it. I am in the moment, but not the moment. And from there, come out of it and can now, by fixing the past. How? When I learned the situation that's in front of, what decision that me, I can now move forward. It's one heavy weight out of the way, unloaded. This comes from the power that is within us to be able to be proactive, to be able to choose what we call the koach ha-bechira, the choice, the free will, the ability to choose what we want in life, the ability to choose the direction we want to take. This energy, this power is everything that God wants. It is the essence of God within us. Come and create. Come and generate. The world is yours. If I'm not myself, who will be? If not now, when? Why live in the past and as a traumatized person, or in the future as a dreamer, when I can live the moment? And living the moment doesn't mean to be the victim of the moment. It means connecting to the moment and building from that moment. But for that, I need to always be aware of the power that I have, the ability to create, the ability to bring myself out of whatever prison, whatever exile I'm in. This is what is expected from us. This is what the Torah expects from each and one of us. Why limit ourselves, Rabotai? So now, if I bring back into the equation man, the interaction between man and himself, man and people, man and situations, man and situations he's not in control of, what we call the Mazal. Nobody should be fearful. Nobody should be scared and say, or broken, and say, oh, I don't have a good Mazal. No, that's not true. Nobody has a bad Mazal. Nobody has a bad Mazal. We all have the Mazal we choose based on our actions. It is true, some people have an easier time than others based on the tendencies, based on their build-up, like we said. And that, what can we do? It's based on the harmony, the love, the perfect alignment of the parents at the time of procreation, when they were in love physically, they were in love emotionally, they were one intellectually, they were one spiritually, and this brings a more equilibrium, a stronger equilibrium in nature. And if they were not so aligned, so it has an effect. This is why Chachamim tell us, Al tikra rasha ben tzaddik ela rasha ben rasha. If you see a wicked person and his father is a righteous person, don't call him wicked, the son of a righteous. He is wicked, the son of a wicked. Why? Because if he's wicked, it's because his father was wicked at the time of procreation. This is how far our actions go. So let's stop blaming everything else and everyone else and just accept a destiny blindly just because it is sold to us by people that want to take advantage, or by people that try to push this fear and this belief as what is called religion. The Torah, our Torah, God, all he wants is see us powerful. Nature is here to serve us, so that we can elevate ourselves, we can better ourselves, we can grow. There is nothing that can stop us. There is nothing that dictates our future. Zero. We do agree that we will have tendencies to have certain things that are easier than others. Yes, but that's it. The rest is in our hands. It's our control, absolute control. If we understand it, then now we can deal with the Mazal. We can deal with what is expected in our lives. We can prepare ourselves for the future, to expect what is about to come, because I know the power of my actions. This is a fundamental understanding we need to have clear cut in our mind, and not chas v'shalom lose focus and believe things that the intellect cannot accept. Rabotai, let's be the image of God. God made man to his image. And if he made us to his image, that means he made us with the ability to create, to build, to overcome everything, but with the ability to destroy. The question is, which direction do we choose? Do we choose to be inactive, to be muted, and by default destroy? Or do we choose to build and create, and by default to become to the image of God? So I want to wish you, each and every one, Shavua Tov. Let's be the pride of Hashem, the pride of God, and let's make sure that we are the ones that actually bring out to the world the light of truth and the beautiful power that has been injected in each and every one of us to exist, to live and create. Shavua Tov u'Mazal Tov. Love you all tremendously. Shavua Tov.